Hi, I'm Chief Petty Officer Fabrizio, alongside USS Constitution, America's ship of state, and the world's oldest commissioned warship afloat. We're going to go on a journey through the history of the United States Navy. It all started on October 13th, 1775, when the Second Continental Congress voted to outfit 2 sailing vessels to intercept transports that were looking to reinforce the British Army in America. This initial legislation, from which the Continental Navy grew, is essentially the Navy's birth certificate. Although the Continental Navy disbanded shortly after the American Revolution due to a lack of funding, many Americans still recognize the need for a full-time Navy. On March 27, 1794, Congress passed the Naval Armament Act, which formally authorized the construction of 6 frigates. The Naval Act laid the foundation for America's first full-time Navy, which would see the nation through the Barbary War and the War of 1812. During the Civil War, the Navy continued to grow and evolve. The first battle between ironclad warships Monitor and Merrimack foreshadowed the future of naval warfare. The Navy also played a pivotal role in the Civil War, successfully blockading southern ports and supporting Army actions along waterways. These actions helped lead to the demise of the Confederacy, and by the end of the conflict, the Navy had expanded to more than 600 ships. Serving among those ships were almost 18,000 African American sailors. Following the Civil War, the Navy began to heavily invest in new technologies, culminating in the development of the new Steel Navy and the introduction of the battleship in the 1880s. In 1898, the Navy defeated the aging Spanish fleet at the battles of Manila Bay and Santiago Bay, establishing itself as a world power during the Spanish-American War. In 1907, the United States debuted its modern fleet to the world with a circumnavigation of the globe which came to be known as the Voyage of the Great White Fleet. The nation, more specifically, President Theodore Roosevelt, used the Great White Fleet to demonstrate the modern U.S. Navy's might and to establish America's place as a world power. That power was tested on April 6, 1917, when the United States entered World War I. Although the war was primarily fought on land, the Navy played a major role transporting more than 2 million men to Europe to fight, an impressive logistical feat even for today. World War I also saw the birth of naval aviation and the introduction of women into the U.S. Navy. On December 7, 1941, the Japanese attacked the United States Pacific Fleet at Pearl Harbor, plunging America into World War II. Out of the ashes of its darkest hour, the Navy built and expanded its fleet into the largest and most modern in the world at the time. During the war, the Navy played a vital role in the Pacific theater. Sailors supported an island-hopping campaign and won several major naval battles, including Midway, the Philippine Sea, and Leyte Gulf. In the Atlantic, the Navy fought the German U-boat threat, transporting troops and equipment to Europe, and supported major operations including the D-Day landings at Normandy. America entered World War II with 790 ships, but by the end had grown to 6,768. During the same period, the Navy grew from 380,000 personnel to more than 3.4 million. Following World War II, the size of the U.S. Navy fluctuated significantly as it sought to counter the Soviet Union and other threats during the Cold War. For the next few decades, the Navy supported operations around the world, including a successful blockade during the Cuban Missile Crisis, patrols countering a Soviet nuclear threat, and actions off the coasts of Korea, Vietnam, and in the Persian Gulf. Following the terrorist attacks on September 11, 2001, the Navy entered a new era as it began fighting the global war on terrorism. The Navy supported special operations in Iraq and Afghanistan and conducted tactical strikes against terrorist threats around the globe. Today, the United States Navy has the most capable fleet in the world. The U.S. fleet includes more than 300,000 personnel on active duty and another 100,000 in the ready reserve. On, above, and below the sea, we have nearly 300 deployable ships and more than 3,500 aircraft. From the seafloor to space, from the blue water to the littorals, and in the information domain, America's Navy will continue to promote American prosperity, deter aggression, protect the nation, and when necessary, conduct prompt and sustained combat operations at sea and ashore to defeat any enemy. Since 1775, today's U.S. Navy sailors continue a proud heritage of maritime dominance.